Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Today I've got a story of a spoiled kid getting destroyed by their own parent, which, you know, is next level, entertainment. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go. Don't know what I'm doing here. Don't know what I'm doing. Alright, so like I said, this was a story time that was sent in to me about a spoiled kid that ended up getting destroyed, which, you know, is obviously right up my alley, cause story times on here about spoiled kids getting wrecked do well, but on top of it, seeing a spoiled kid get destroyed at the hands of their own mother makes it even better, you know? Obviously, because it means that that person has to have reached levels of spoiled never thought previously achievable by mankind, you know? If your own mom is out here calling you out, you had to have done something pretty crazy. Anytime your mom ends up flaming you in front of a bunch of people and smacking you back down to reality and embarrassing you, that has to be a sign that, like, you were out of pocket, because moms don't really love to roll around destroying their kid's ego. At least I don't think so, dude. Maybe your guys' moms were a little bit different, you know? Oh, what is that? You got some confidence? Yeah, let me punch you in the face and smash your Hot Wheel track. Regardless, you know, it is a pretty great story. Anyways, it takes place at this subscriber's job. I'm not gonna say which restaurant they work at because it doesn't really matter, but it's a fast food restaurant, and obviously it's not like the most entertaining, romantic, fun place to be at. Anybody that's like, the real fun job is working in fast food is lying. It's not fun, but regardless, you know, it is a job and it's a place where this subscriber works, and he's worked for a bit. He's just in a situation where, like, you know, it's convenient, it's close to his house, he doesn't hate it. It does pay him money, and on top of it, you know, he's a young kid, so even if, like, he did go get a different job, it would be something equally as crappy, so there's really no reason to leave. Regardless, he's used to people kind of leaving and getting the job very often. People don't tend to stay for a while, and one day he comes in and he sees that there's a new girl that they need to train. And obviously, he's got some experience training people at that point, so, you know, he goes over and introduces himself, and right off the bat, she's just insanely entitled. The first day, really not fun to work with, mainly because she doesn't want to do anything, you know? And listen, I'm all for, like, being lazy, don't get it twisted, you know? That being said, there just comes to be a point where, like, you're at your job and you have to do the bare minimum to keep your job. And especially her attitude just did not work well with the industry she had chosen to work in, you know? She would just straight up refuse to do things that, like, 100% she knew she was going to have to do before she applied here, came to the interview, and got the job. Like, there's just certain things. I've never worked in fast food, but if I did, I would just expect that I'm gonna have to do. Like, you know, it's just reality. You're probably gonna have to deal with an angry customer at some point if you get a job in fast food or customer service. Like, it just is what it is. But I think the best example of, like, this girl just refusing to do simple work was one time the subscriber, who was like an assistant manager, said, "Hey, I'm really busy cooking right now because we're in a lunch rush, drive-through is slammed, can you take the trash out?" And she looked at him, pulled out her phone, checked the time, and said, I don't really do trash, but you can do it and I'll hold the door for you. And, like, obviously he just couldn't really believe that she, like, didn't do trash but had gotten a job at a place where, like, you know, obviously after each lunch rush you gotta take out the trash. Like, I worked at a grocery store and taking out the trash was just one of the jobs we just had to do. Obviously it kind of caught him off guard, but it wasn't like that was only her attitude with trash. It was other stuff that she just didn't do. She just didn't do touching raw food, so she wouldn't cook anything. She just didn't do drive-through orders. Like, customers would talk and she just would punch in their order wrong. She didn't do dishes. Basically, she didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, she refused to take trash out. She refused to take orders. She refused to, basically do any of the stuff that you need to do to work at a restaurant. And listen, to each their own. If you're grossed out by everything that she didn't do, by all means, I'm not here to judge you. Be grossed out by it, dude. That being said, it just seems kind of dumb to hate all the things that she apparently hated and then go get a job in a fast food restaurant where, like, all of those things are 95% of the job. Dealing with food, taking out the trash from the food, or taking orders from customers for their food is, like, all the work available. Anyways, for the next 2 days, the subscriber's trying his best to make the most out of the situation and train her, but it becomes very obvious to him and, like, the manager that this just isn't going to work. That being said, they're gonna give her an official warning and see if that, like, you know, changes anything about the work ethic. So the manager decides that The next time that she's got a shift, he's gonna pull her aside and just give her a talk about how like, hey, we just really need to see some more because things aren't working. However, it wasn't a huge restaurant, so it's not like the place had some, meeting room, conference area, so he obviously just kind of had to pull her off to the side of the kitchen. And he wasn't trying to embarrass her at all. In fact, he was keeping his voice down as much as humanly possible while explaining that, like, when somebody asks her to do something, like take the trash out, it's part of her job description. If she doesn't want to do it, that's fine, but it's not going to work with her working here if she's just refusing to do all of the things that, like, they need the workers to do. By all means, I wouldn't necessarily want to work with food either. That's why I just didn't go get a job in food. And anyways, he's trying to be quiet, but very quickly all the workers become aware of this conversation because her reaction immediately goes from like a 2 to a 12 and she just starts screaming, "Are you telling me how hard I need to work here and what I need to do as a worker here? Are you seriously trying to tell me what to do?" Which, yeah, it's annoying, but like it's kind of the manager's job at the end of the day. And obviously the manager is annoyed at that point because he's trying to be nice about it. Now he's getting yelled at and he's like, "No, I literally just want you to do anything. I'm not telling you how hard to work. I'm telling you to work. You literally just sit there and look at us during rushes and like look at the trash overflowing and just expect it to magically get emptied. There's a reason we hire people to do jobs. It's because it needs to get done. It's fine if you don't want to work here. That's okay. But this isn't working. You either need to change how you work here or you can't work here." Anyways, obviously the manager was like trying to be funny / serious, but the spoiled girl did not like being told that she wasn't helping with anything, and so her next response was like, she couldn't say that she was helping, so she decided to just start talking about how beneath her the job was instead. The job that she had gone out of her way to apply for and then get. Like, that's what I don't understand when people start popping off about how this job sucks and it's beneath them while they have it, is like, well, at some point you did go through all the work of getting it, You think I need to work at a fast food restaurant? I so above this. Like, I'm not a loser like you. I don't plan on spending my adult life being the manager of a fast food restaurant. My parents are loaded. I don't need any of this. If my parents give me 1/10 of what they have, then like I would never have to work again. Just going off and off about how like everyone who works here is a loser and she's above it, which, congratulations to your parents for being rich, but I don't really understand why you have to be calling everybody that does have to work a loser. A job is a job, just because you don't like your job doesn't mean that like everybody who works here is somehow now stupid and doesn't deserve to like not have to ever work here for the rest of their life forever. In her mind, they just eat, sleep, and breathe this fast food restaurant. Like they're NPCs that just stop being rendered when they leave the restaurant. Anyways, the manager somehow manages to stay calm. Kudos, I guess. I probably couldn't have. And at that point, he looks at her after her little rant about how everyone's beneath her and her parents are loaded, and he says, "Well, I'm glad you plan on mooching off your parents forever and don't need this job because as of right now, you're fired and it's not yours anyways." And her face kind of like goes, and he's like, "You don't need to finish your shift. You go ahead and go home. You don't need to come back. I'll put your last paycheck in the mail. Don't bother to come get it." And obviously everybody is just kind of standing there witnessing this and their mouths are open too because it was in the side of the kitchen. There wasn't a lot of customers there, but everyone's like, "Ooh." Regardless, that's probably the best play. I mean, if you're arguing with somebody that's saying that like you're a loser for having your job and you suck, then like what are you really going to say other than "I disagree"? You can't be like, "You're right, I am a loser." Obviously at that point it's probably best to just fire them because like if they think that they're above all the work there, then they're just never gonna do it, I mean, seems pretty simple. Like, if you really think that you're above doing homework, then, like, if you were getting paid to be at school, it just wouldn't make sense for you to be there. Anyways, the spoiled girl almost, like, can't believe that she got fired. Somehow, I think in her mind, the boss was gonna be like, whoa, 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 you're right. Your parents are loaded. You should work here. We need someone with rich parents here. Like, even after calling him a loser, saying that everyone that works here sucks, that she was gonna keep her job. I don't really understand how she thought that, dude. Regardless, he's like, "No, you're actually fired." And at that point, she does the age-old classic, "You can't fire me, I quit," and starts to storm out of, like, the building. And as she's storming out the building, she starts just kind of knocking stuff onto onto the floor from all the shelves, which doesn't punish the manager. You're just making everybody have to pick up more. But regardless, she's just knocking stuff down. And everyone else is just kind of standing there in shock, not knowing what to say about all of this, because it wasn't even like they expected any of this to go down. Especially the subscriber, the assistant manager, is especially confused, because keep in mind, all of this was supposed to be a warning. Like, they weren't going to fire her today. They were going to warn her and be like, hey, you really need to step up, the work you've been doing. They didn't plan on it turning into a screaming match and everyone getting fired, but, everyone's just kind of sitting there surprised. With that being over, though, everybody just decides to, kind of try to go back to as much normal as you could possibly have after something like that. So they just decide to figure out how it goes today and see what's up. And, they at least think that it's over. They'll never see her again and cause any problems. So they clean up the kitchen and go about the rest of the day. The flow of the kitchen worked better. It just felt like a less stressful environment. And honestly, you'd be surprised how much easier work is to do with people that are willing to do work. I know, it seems crazy, but it's almost like that makes anything substantially easier is when people are willing to help. Regardless, the entire day, everybody's obviously joking about what went down, and they think that oh, that's the last we'll ever see of that crazy lady. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, the next day, the subscriber is working on the register, and it's pretty slow. There hasn't been a lot of customers. And in comes the spoiled girl who had worked the day before, and an older woman, and the spoiled girl is basically beet red. And he instantly get the vibe that she does not want to be here, but this older woman that he assumes is her mom had brought her here to either apologize, get her paycheck, figure out something, but regardless, it looks like the spoiled girl is not very happy to be here. And they both walk up to the counter, and the mom says, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah's mom, and he's like, hi, I'm the assistant manager, how can I help you? And she's like, well, I understand that my daughter quit yesterday, and we're here to get her job back. Is the manager here? And obviously, the assistant manager is kind of like, uh-oh, is this going to be a Karen situation? Usually when somebody freaks out, you assume it's because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree and their parents freak out too. So he's like, yeah, the manager's here, and he decides to just go get the manager and have him deal with it. So he goes back into the kitchen, tells the manager that the girl and her mom are here, and the manager's face kind of turns white as a ghost, and he's like, oh no, they're both expecting that they're gonna go out there and Karen's gonna start just yelling at them for daring to fire her sweet little angel. So the manager starts kind of hyping himself out to walk up there. He's expecting to have a battle with a Karen, he's, fighting the Kraken, and he's Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. So on the way up, he's hyping himself up, no, you have to be able to take the trash out to work here, he's just trying to hype himself up a bit to get into the right mindset to argue with this lady. And so finally he gets out there, and the mom's like, hi, it's great to meet you. I understand that my daughter quit, She's managed to lose every other job she's ever had, and she really can't afford to lose this one. So is there anything that we can do to fix this situation and make it so that she doesn't lose her employment? She really can't manage to keep a job, and I need to make sure that this doesn't happen. Obviously, the manager is kind of caught off guard because he didn't expect her to try to be here and understand and be reasonable, all right? He was expecting to get screamed at. So he's kind of well, I don't necessarily know if this is something that we could fix, only because, the freak out that your daughter had when she quit. And obviously the mom's like, what do you mean? My daughter said that she had quit her job because you guys had gotten into an argument, and things had started yelling at each other. And he's like, well, obviously we had gotten into an argument, yeah, but before she quit, she had started going off about how she didn't need this job because it was beneath her, because he points at the mom, are extremely rich, and even if she gets 1/10 of what you have, she'll never have to work a stupid job like this again. And, obviously I get it, I've said stuff when I'm mad before, but the rest of the team here isn't necessarily stoked about the idea of being coworkers with somebody that literally thinks that they're human garbage, And the entire time he's explaining this, the mom is just looking more and more embarrassed, turning red. And finally, he goes through some more of what he's explaining and then wraps it up in a nice little bow, basically restating, I can't rehire her because she called the entire team losers, said that I'm a loser and that she's above all of this and just doesn't really like to work. So no, there's just not really a situation where he can fix this. And obviously, after he rests his case, he leans back and, he's expecting that the mom might yell at him, but it is what it is. And the mom's kind of looking at him for a second, and she's just thinking. You can tell that the wheels are turning, and finally she just turns to her spoiled kid and starts to go off after like processing all that. I think in her mind she was trying to decide how realistic it was that her kid did all that, you know, and when it finally came like, no, yeah, that probably happened, that was the reaction that transpired, just lays into her. You are not above any job. What's wrong with you? You know, the fact that you haven't been able to hold a job at all and are insulting others for their hard work is insane. You wish that you would be able to get promoted to be a fast food manager at this point, considering every job you have fires you after less than a month. You know, as you were saying to them, it is true that me and your dad have a lot of money, but guess what? Me and your dad have a lot of money. You don't. You're broke in this situation and you can't keep acting like my money is yours. You seriously think that I'm just gonna take care of you forever and just give you money while you bounce from job to job and then quit or get fired when they like expect you to do the bare minimum amount of work? Which, I mean, the manager is just sitting there listening to all of this awkward because he doesn't know what to say at all. Now he's in the middle of this giant family drama just trying to explain what's going on, and the mom just keeps going off after a little bit, though. She finally calms down after one more time being like, you're not above anything, what's wrong with you? And the spoiled girl is just kind of sitting there slack-jawed because obviously she hadn't expected it to go this way. She had expected mom to be like, team get the job back and yell at this guy who had been mean. But no, instead the manager had just kind of explained what happened, and the mom had realized, maybe the fact that none of these jobs can be kept has nothing to do with the manager at every single location. Listen, I've had a bad manager. I've had several bad managers. Trust me, it happens. That being said, if you've had like 27 jobs, chances are the managers are not the problem. You know what I mean? And then the daughter's response to all this, though, is start trying to say that the work they expected her to do was insane and that there's no way she would be able to do it just because of, like, what she'd become accustomed to. And the mom is like, oh, is taking out the trash too hard? No wonder your room smells so bad. And everybody just kind of giggled a little bit. And at that point, the Karen mom looked around and realized that, like, all the customers, all the workers, they were all staring. And so to get out of there, she looked at the manager and said, I'm really sorry for my daughter's behavior. I understand why she can't have her job back. And they both get up and start walking out of the restaurant, dude. And the entire time the mom doesn't say a word, but the daughter is just looking straight down at the ground. She literally doesn't have the nerve to look any person in the eye, but I mean, how could you in this situation? Imagine convincing your mom to come with you to this fast food restaurant to yell at the manager and get your job back. And then the manager's explaining what happened and your mom realizes, crap, that's not the case. And then, like, you know, she starts screaming at you in front of everybody saying you deserve to get fired. Yeah, I probably would have kept my head down too, dude. I can't even judge her too much for that, man. If anything, at least that humanizes her a little bit and she realized that she had a reason to be embarrassed right then. Regardless, they're walking out of the restaurant and everybody's just kind of watching them leave. Anyways, they leave and everybody just starts laughing because, you know, they had been dealing with this crap. They had just automatically assumed that the mom was obviously similar, you know, the source of the entitlement, but no, apparently she had nothing to do with all of this. The only question at that point is, like, where did the entitlement come from? You know, if the mom was really upset about it and, like, pissed off about the fact that she was saying all this, then, like, where did she get the idea that she could just do whatever she wanted because her parents were rich, you know? I also love that the mom said that, like, listen, I'm rich, you're not rich. I feel like that's something that a lot more of the rich kids gotta be hearing these days. Because let's be honest here, if your dad is a millionaire, then, you know, that's great for him. He's successful. Kudos to your dad. But, like, you're not your dad. If your mom's a billionaire, bro, you are not your mom. You're the kid. Sure, I'm sure life has been a little bit better. Maybe you got to go on cooler vacations and stuff, but you still have to, like, work your way up. You don't get to just skip the first 30 steps on the ladder because your dad and mom made a bunch of money. You're not in charge of their bank account. You can't liquidate your parents' 401k and put it all into NFTs no matter how badly you want to, dude. Mom, you don't understand. Your retirement would be so much better if you focused more on Bored Apes instead of dividend-yielding stocks. What's wrong with you? Anyways, you would think at that point that this girl would have just been so embarrassed that, like, she never came back to this restaurant. She never had the nerve to show up. But no, somehow the girl was not ashamed enough to never show her face again. About 2 weeks later, the subscriber was, like, on the drive-thru, you know, and he's taking orders and he ends up hearing a voice that he thought was familiar. And he's like, nah, there's no way that she would come back because, like, you know, she was just so embarrassed. Her mom had, like, made fun of her so badly. Why would she choose to come back to this restaurant? But sure enough, he's waiting and he sees sees it pull up to the window he's at where he takes like the card to pay for it. And so it comes around, and sure enough, it's the same spoiled girl, but she's now like pretending to wear a disguise. She has a really bad wig on, and like, you know, you can still see her original hair underneath the other wig, so it just didn't even do a job of disguising it with big sunglasses. And whatever, she comes up and she's paying for her order, and she's like, this place has gone really downhill, and she says the date that she ended up quitting on, you know? And obviously the subscriber knew at that point that like, oh, it's this spoiled girl coming back to try to, you know, make us feel bad about the day she quit because our restaurant has sucked since then. So he decided to mess with her, and he's like, honestly, ever since that day, I feel like everything has run way more smooth. Like, if anything, I feel like our restaurant has been on a rocket ship straight up since then. And her face kind of contorted into an insulted face, but obviously, you know, she had decided to come all disguised, so she couldn't just run around the corner and like, or argue with him. She was in the car, not around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like, she couldn't start fighting with him, so obviously, you know, she's like, yeah, well, I guess that's your opinion, and then paid for her order. So she goes back to the food window, and everyone's kind of like, wait, this is her. So he goes to the other window to give her the food, the same guy. And so he gives her the food, and she's like, thank you so much. Wait, weren't you the guy that took my order? And he goes, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you had a great day. And then he said her name, and I don't know if she really thought the disguise was going to work, like nobody knew who she was. But sure enough, as soon as he said her name and she realized that she had been busted, she decided to like slam on the gas and like grab the bag of food like Cruella de Vil and do a little peel out with the burger bag. I'm just flabbergasted she had the nerve to come back, dude. It was probably the fear of realizing that she had been caught that made her be like, I need to get out of here now. I just feel like after your mom has embarrassed you that hard right in front of everybody, it's weird to come back and try to convince them that life was better when you worked there. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. And, of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below. It's by my friend Pancho. Be sure to check it out. Also, in the description's a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast. Or, of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout if you want a discount. Two more things that I got to shout out real quick. If you guys like listening to the show but want to listen offline without gameplay, I've posted it on Spotify. I'll put that link in the top of the description, but I do have a Spotify show for this now. And other than that, the bottom link in the description is a link to the merch store, so if you want to get yourself the coolest merch to ever exist in the history of the planet, link down there. Be sure to go check it out. And yeah, on that note, guys, that'll officially do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.